Welcome to Delight Talks. We're so excited to be back today on our reviews, TV show reviews that we really love. You know that we've been doing Married at First Sight, and this season was kind of slow to start, so we're like, we have to kind of watch a little bit more episodes before getting into it. So now that the couples are on the honeymoons, we're going to talk about Married at First Sight. And you know our twist, right? So we're going to talk about the couples, but also what the different lessons we can learn from them are. So I'm joined by the amazing Mika Washington. She keeps it real. She says it like it is. So get ready, just take your notepads and just take notes because she's going to be on it. And then I have the amazing Candace Smith. She's softer, but she still keeps it real as well. So she will say it real to you, but in a very nice way that, it's like a nicely pillowed shade. No worries, but I'm so excited to meet with my Delight sisters. So we're going to talk about the couples. So do you have something to say to the people before we get started? Candace, one sentence.
Get ready.
And Mika?
This shall be fun.
Okay. See? So let's get started. Let's get into it. Jingle. Okay. All right. So we have so many different couples this season. Like I really had to write notes because there's so many couples. But one thing I really like, and maybe that's where we can open the conversation, is just what we think of this season up to now, especially after the roller coaster of last season. We won't talk about that, but I really love the diversity of the couples. I mean, there's many of them, but we have so many different couples. What do you think?
I find that in this season, I feel like there's a level of maturity that I haven't seen in previous seasons. It's not the fact that they're older, because we've had varying ages on past seasons, but it seems like there's a level of personal maturity amongst the couples. Just the way they are having different conversations, the way they interact with each other, even the things that they were asking for, the lists that they brought, along with the different cultures that are represented here. I was pleasantly surprised about the different cultures. It's really good to see just how they celebrate marriage, what they think about marriage, culturally and personally. So it's exciting to see. It gives it a little twist, which makes it interesting, but not in a bad way. So, yeah.
That is very true. I think that's something that I've also noticed. It's that the couples, they seem to really take it seriously and are kind of committed to the process, which is different from what we had last time. So maybe to get the show started, since we talked about diversity a little bit, I think one of the most diverse couple that we've seen on Married at First Sight is the Asian couple. I think they're the first ones, Bao and Johnny. I personally love them. I'm rooting for them. And they're just very sweet. And I love just seeing the cultural aspect of it. I love their wedding and how they were like, even though we're doing this, even though there are some issues, I'm still going to incorporate my traditional wedding into it. It was really amazing. So I'm rooting for them. My prediction is that they're going to make it. But what do you think? One thing I think that was really cool was the backstory of how they came together and they knew each other like a long time back, and somebody ghosted somebody. So what do you think? Do you think that them kind of knowing each other a little bit helped with the process and might help them stay together? And then is there any lesson in the ghosting thing? Like, ghosting somebody who ends up being the love of your life, like like Johnny was asking, did we lose some years? Would we have 2 kids by now? I want to hear all the comments. So let's start with Candice.
Um, I do think it was a bonus. It was a plus that they kind of knew each other in their collegiate, age, and when they were in college. They didn't go to the same school. They kind of got to see each other on an intellectual level. It showed they were like-minded, interested in the same, hobbies, the same interests. You know what I mean? Like the debate team, I think they were like political debates, or I can't remember what they said how they collaborated in college, but I do think that it helped that they knew each other in a sense. Because they got to see who this person was, and they were younger, right? So now they're together and they get to see, how much you've grown and where you are now. And so I do think there's that level of familiarity that's good. The ghosting thing is interesting because it's like, be careful who you ghost, because you don't know if later on that person might be a business partner, a potential business partner, might be your spouse. You have no idea. But the interesting thing about the ghosting thing, and it wasn't so much as ghosting like, oh, he dated me, we went out, and then it's like, I ain't like it, I'm over it, I'm just not gonna say anything because I'm afraid to say anything. What I found interesting about the two of them is that they were both so interested in each other. They were both attracted to each other, but they were both afraid to communicate that to each other. So it's like, well, had a crush on you, and I had a crush on you, and it's like, if she had said something, or if even he had said something, where would they be? And it made me think about what we're taught in the Christian community, right? Like, we're taught that, Christian culture, women don't seek men. It's the man's job to find his wife. But if we, I'm thankful that God brought them back together again, right? But here's my thing. My question that came to mind is like, how many people have we missed out on, or relationships have we missed out on, where we were both on the same attraction level, we're both feeling each other, but as women, we're taught, you don't put yourself out there like that. It's his job. If he really wants to pursue you, if there's something that he sees in you, then he'll come after you. But we forget, men aren't superheroes. They're human. They have fears just like we have fears. They have insecurities sometimes 10 times to what we have. And so it made me think like, well, who haven't I said something to that I was interested in that could have been interested in me, and where will we be right now? So I found that to be highly interesting, that, I am rooting for Johnny and Bao. I love them. They're my favorite couple. I love them on this show. I love their communication. I love that Bao isn't quick to get upset. She doesn't yell, she's not cussing, she's not, being aggressive with him. She hears him, she respects his straightforwardness, and she listens. She actually listens, and she says, I hear what you're saying, I could tell that, let's talk about it. And I learned, like, okay, I'm watching her and like, how can I apply that to myself? I think I do a pretty good job of it, but we have moments where we get pulled outside of ourselves and we can get a little aggressive. But to see that interaction, to see the exchange of communication that was open, that was productive, that was good. I'm rooting for them. I know I said a lot. Go ahead, Meeks.
I have the same sentiments as Candice. So to kind of like answer the questions though, as far as like the whole I guess ghosting thing and them already knowing each other, I think that sometimes we come across people that we may not know to be potential mates or spouses or whatever the case may be. And to see their reaction when they saw each other, she was like, oh my God, I know him. And it was, you couldn't tell at first if that was like, oh my God, I know him, or like, oh my God, I know him already. And it wasn't until after that they had their, when they had their private moment, that she was like, I'm so happy. Like, I know you already. Like, we've known each other for a while. And I actually respect the fact that she didn't bring up the whole ghosting situation until like after the wedding. She allowed them to enjoy that moment and enjoy the, just the celebration of the two of them coming together. And then it wasn't until I think it was the honeymoon or something like that she was like, yeah, so you ghosted me, right? And he was like, what are you talking about? And she was like, oh, I have the receipt. He was like, you still have the text message? But see, little thing there, sir. We women like to keep receipts. It's not to throw it in your face, but sometimes we like to review stuff or hold on to stuff. Sometimes in a good way, sometimes in a bad way. And for her, she wasn't trying to make it seem like, you just ghosted me and I didn't want to talk to you no more. She was like you never responded. What was up with that? And he admitted that, just at that time, I wasn't in a space where I could fully give you all of myself. And so now that they're married, going to the communication piece, you can see that time apart is what they needed. Because maybe at the time he wasn't the greatest communicator, clearly, because he ghosted her. But now he is more open to having conversation and more open to expressing how he feels and things of that nature. And I want to kind of piggyback off of what Candace said about how she takes it in and she listens, and they don't have arguments, they have conversations. Like, this is not about, well, let me defend myself. And I love how she expresses how she feels. Like, this I'm embarrassed about, or I'm not comfortable with this. And so their friendship was a good foundation for where they are now. And so I too am rooting for them. I hope that they are the couple that makes it. Anytime I look at them, I'm like, I can't wait till they get older. They're just going to be such a cute old Asian couple. I love it. So that's my piece.
No, I agree with you both. And there's so many things to pull from. And I love what you said, Mika, about the friendship being the basis. And maybe that's what's helping, because you had the attraction a long time ago, but it's not what's leading in this one. They had a friendship, and like Candace said, they were, I think, presidents of their association. So, they're used to sparring or something like that, maybe, with the debates. And communication is great, because I love that with them. And I know the editors try to do things to make it seem like so much worse. But I love that you can see it's two imperfect people that are coming together. Like, it's not all rosy and, all, yeah, like honeymoon colored things, but they have issues, and some of them will talk about it. But I think the fact that they're willing to say, hey, I don't like this. For example, with the joke on the snoring, that was something that might seem trivial, but for her, it's something that actually affects her self-esteem or something like that. And she was able to say, stop that right now. And he was able to listen. And he also said, hey, I hate when you overanalyze, just live in the moment. And she's like, I hear you. And you could see her actually listening to what he was saying. So that's really great. And it reminded me of the verse where I'm paraphrasing, but it's like a soft voice calms things down. It's a Proverbs. And just even when you have issues, instead of like the loud fights, it's said, and it's a conversation. And I think one thing that will help in this couple, and we'll see, we've been right a lot last season review, so I'm hopeful. But the tradition part, I think, is going to help them through. The fact that she was supportive of even helping him mend his relationship with his dad, and and even them, talking through that relationship when his dad did call, and having the cultural traditional wedding. Coming from Congo, for example, our traditional wedding, if you want to divorce, it's a separate divorce that you have to do with the traditional wedding with the parents, in addition to the white divorce where you sign papers. So I don't know in the culture if it's like that, but that could be one more difficult thing where parents can come in, and the mother-in-law who's already thinking about the kids, and it kind of helps support the couples, that they're not just the two of them in the world, but they have their families around. But I know one thing that was very tricky was the hygiene part. So let's talk about it. I had to put it out. Female hygiene. You've heard a lot of PSA announcements. Candace already gave some PSA announcements. One, be careful who you ghost. And two, look into your ghosted or friends list. But there's another, I think, good PSA announcement around hygiene. So, in your opinion, is Johnny too much? He showers 3 times a day. He wants you exercise, you shower, clean your sheets. Bao is like, let me be my dirty self on a couch at night. So Candace wants to say something. Go on. But this is something I wouldn't know that married people actually. I mean, we talk about the big differences, but this is like shower etiquette.
I can't let Bao go out like that. Because I feel like the way they edited that made her look like she only bathes every 2 weeks. Then she goes to the gym and she's sweating nasty and just want to put her body in the sheets.
Yes.
But I was like, oh, they're not painting you in a good light, boo. They're not painting you in a good light.
And Candace, before you go on, I was so surprised because before they met, they showed Bao to be this organized person with spreadsheets. So I'm like,
but see, that's organization and spreadsheets. That versus hygiene. She can compartmentalize. That is in this box, and this is in this box. So she might not be a junky non-washing person. She just a very organized non-washing person. But I'm not going to my girl Bao. Look at Mika's face. Wait, Mika, wait. All I can say about is that the way they edited that, if you watch it, a spoiler alert, if you haven't watched it, I'm sorry, but the conversation that she has when because he's looking at her like, I'm about to give me the papers now. We are going to get divorced before the honeymoon is over. She explains like she might not shower twice a day or 3 times a day like he does, but she does shower every day. And when she goes to the gym, she said, I might be completely exhausted and I might just want to lay down. What if I lay down on the couch, take a quick nap, and then get up and take a shower? She wasn't saying like she just wants to roll around.
now you're leaving your exercise thing on the couch.
I'm just grace. I'm trying to give her some grace because, and then when she explained what she meant about how there have been times when I guess she didn't actually say depression, but what she was describing was depression. When she said, I don't feel like getting out of the bed. I don't feel like communicating. I'm just in my head. And sometimes I might not get up and take a shower. I don't know any perfect person that would say they have never experienced depression where it is literally hard for you to get out of your bed and to actually be functional, depending on the level that you're experiencing. So I got to give her some grace in there. But Johnny was looking like, listen, where's my pen? And where do I sign? Because I need to leave now. But go ahead, Mika, because you
Go ahead, Mika.
So you actually pinpoint exactly what I was going to say. When you watch it, and as much as people don't want to admit, there have been times when they got in their bed and they have not taken a shower from the day. So like that, I wasn't even mad about. But again, you said exactly what I was going to say. What she described was depression. And now that we're talking about it, I'm glad that she was able to say, like, I didn't want to brush my teeth. I didn't want to floss. Like, I didn't want to do anything. And most people, again, are not going to admit that. No one's going to admit that I didn't get out the bed today, or I didn't get out the bed for 3 days and shower. But that is what depression does. Depression keeps you bound or confined in a particular place. And so when you don't want to communicate, when you don't want to do anything, showering is the last thing you're thinking about, because you're trying to make it to the next day. You're trying to make it to the next moment. So for her to be able to say, like, hey, I had a moment and I noticed that, you do certain things. I'm not like that. So if I don't do this, are you going to have a problem with it? And, as much as he was like, I would. Now, what I do like is the simple fact that he wants her to always be close to him. And so he's like, no, sleeping on the couch is not an option. Just if you get in the bed, we just have to change the sheets. Like, we'll make it through. But he doesn't want to have any type of separation, because that's room for the enemy. Now, this is the believer's part of it, because I don't know what their, faith is or whatever the case may be. But as believers, we know we can't give the enemy any room. So if I'm sleeping on the couch because I don't feel like getting in the shower, then now you in the bed all by yourself, and who knows, you could be texting somebody, looking at somebody's Instagram, whatever the case may be, because it's 21st century. But I like the fact that he was like, no, just get in the bed and we'll change the sheets. I can make it. So, I don't want, like Candace said, I don't want her to seem as if she doesn't have good hygiene. I just think she was expressing how sometimes I just don't feel like taking a shower. And if people would be more honest with themselves, everybody would have moments where they just don't take showers. So
That was good. And oh, go ahead.
Sorry. And I also love the fact that even though Johnny, it maybe hit his gross meter, it maybe like hit his, this is very different from what I'm used to. I believe he still hurt her. And I believe that even in that, she wasn't yelling. She wasn't aggressive. She wasn't trying to force her point. She was being honest. And I love the fact that he respected her transparency and her honesty. And they had a discussion and was able to actually come to a compromise. Like Mika said, he was like, no, you're not going to sleep on the couch. Just change the sheets after you lay in the bed. And she was like, I think I can do that. So I love the fact that they're getting to that level of conversation, because those kind of conversations are important. Like, and I think that this is different from me, because I haven't seen these kind of conversations in previous seasons, especially to that level of, well, what are your hygiene? What are your habits? What are your, it's been like, I'm attracted to her, I'm attracted to him. When are y'all gonna have sex? Who's gonna have sex first? It's been based around who's gonna have sex, who did this, who did that. It's physical, but I love the fact that they say, we're not gonna be here forever. We're not gonna be in a honeymoon forever. And we need to discuss like finances. We need to discuss. I love the fact that he brought up political views, even though it was like kind of a rocky, landmine filled area. That meant that they were talking about that. I think Mika and I, we talked about that meant that discussion has come up. So I like that the fact that even though the cameras try to paint a different picture, because it's about ratings, let's be honest, it's about the views. And if we can amp up the drama, we can get more views. But the fact that they've been doing the work behind the scenes is showing through even the editing that the production team is doing. And so while it says this on the camera, we can see the work they're doing on and off camera, and it's shining through. So mad respect for all of that work. And it just makes me think like, this is what couples need to do. This is what you need to do to be a healthy couple. Have these conversations. Be open and honest with each other, and minimize the yelling and amplify the listening. And be okay with not agreeing on something. It's okay. You don't have to always see eye to eye, You can agree to disagree and then find some common ground. And I think that will help you get through a lot of these rough patches where society might make it look like one thing, but because you're building that foundation, you're showing and you're speaking and you're, presenting another thing.
I love that, and I think what you said about compromising, finding this common ground. I love that they're also building their world. It's not that somebody came and said you have to shower 3 times a day. You have to shower 1 time a day. That's what the science said. That's what so and so said. They came with their agreement for the household, and maybe for a couple it might not be the shower, but it might be the cleanliness. You have people who are like neat freaks, and some others who, you will see a coat hanging here and some shoes there. And when you come, you're kind of putting two worlds together in a marriage. So being open to kind of tweaking what you were used to by yourself all this while to how another person has been used to doing it all that while, it's very important. I really love that with this couple. Amazing. So, I think this is the review for the PSA announcement. So, having said all that, we've had very a lot of sessions with Delight on femininity, where we talked about the tone, communicating, hygiene. So please have the basics, and it's valid for the men and the women. Make sure your teeth are clean. Make sure you wash yourself. Your private areas, make sure they're not smelly. On the period days, make sure you're not smelly. Smell good, perfume, poo poo, but only after you've taken showers, because if you sweat and you add perfume on top, you will smell really bad. All these little things that, and they're really attractive, even for men. I know this was really, I think it piqued people interest because the woman was the one who said that. Because I've heard men a lot of times who are like, yeah, I haven't showered in 3 days, or our little brothers that we have to send to the bathroom, like, go shower, you're smelling. So I think for men it's actually common that it's like, have you showered in 2 days, or have you showered today? So guys, especially Christian guys, please do the work of the Lord. Be good Boazes and kings, and please take showers, smell good, look good. It's helpful, and your body is the temple of Christ. So, smell good. Okay, I'm done with my PSA announcement. Okay, I think we're good with Bao and Johnny. Okay, let's go to the next one. Maybe those we don't have a lot of materials on. So it's the next diverse couple, Michaela and Zach. So these are the black couple. What we've seen up to now, Zach got COVID. Michaela was upset. She got sent back to her home state for some reason we don't know. And she was very upset about it. So up to now, there's not a lot that has happened, and they've hinted that things will go really bad really fast. But what are your impressions of this couple, and do you think they have the same standard in terms of compromising as Bao and Johnny have?
With COVID, as far as restrictions are concerned, he can't get back on a plane with COVID. So he had to wait it out there, test negative, and then get on the plane to go home. So because Michaela didn't have COVID, they could send her home. One, thinking from a production standpoint, you ain't gonna catch COVID and then try to blame us and say, well, y'all didn't send me home, or y'all kept me here. So it was best for her to go home. She was upset. Get over it, ma'am. They didn't want you to get sick, and neither did your husband. So that's the reason why he stayed. I mean, let's be real here. You can't get on a plane with COVID and infect other people. But outside of that, I think that with the problems that they will have, Zach seems like a very mild-mannered, calm type of person. And based off of what Michaela's sisters have said about her, she loses it and loses it quickly. Previews have showed us Hurricane K, as they call her. Um, and it doesn't paint a pretty picture, but we also don't know what caused those reactions. So we just have to continue to watch and see what the stipulations were or whatever the case may be. But could she have stayed and enjoyed the rest of the honeymoon with the other couples? No. Who wants to do that by themselves? What type of activities am I going to do by myself on a honeymoon? That makes no sense. But I think what will be best for them is to not so much focus on the honeymoon, but focus on the marriage, because clearly there's some things that's coming that we have no idea about what's about to happen. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, that's good. And we don't know also if the editors are sending us on a wild chase. But it's my impression of Zach. He's mild mannered. He mentioned that he really wanted to get married, and it was his heart's desire. I don't know if I feel it truly. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if it's there. Maybe maturity wise, I'm not sure what's the thing. And for her as well, I mean, they seem very attracted to each other, but yeah, I'm on the fence with this one. Kenneth.
Excuse me. I have to agree. I'm concerned, and then not just because of the glimpses they showed us of what's to come. I think that Zach is really young, and I think that and it's not even about the age. There's not, and how do I say this? He's a romantic. He loves the idea of love, right? He loves the euphoric feeling that he thinks it gives because he's never been in love. He's seen a healthy marriage with his parents, and I believe he said his brother is married, or in one is dating but one is married, I believe. So he's seen good examples, I'm going to assume. But I know that he's really, like, he just, even when they were doing the first taping of him getting ready for the wedding, some of the terminology, and I told this to Mika, it raised red flags for me. Some of the things he would say and regarding love, and how just emotional he got when talking about it. I just didn't want him to go into the marriage thinking it was going to be like a Hallmark movie. Because that's not fair to him, and it's not fair to Michaela. Because they're not characters that was written in someone's imagination on a script, and it ends in a unicorn and a sleigh and they ride off into the sunset. That's not, that's not, how it is. I had some concerns that her sisters they weren't that honest with him the morning after about, and I get it. She lost her dad, and they kind of protected her, and they're sheltering her. But now it's the two of them. And so when you see her, you see him. So that thing where you see something, say something. And he asked them, like, what do I need to know? And they weren't, even her friends weren't honest about, like, the fact that she can go from 0 to 160 in less than 2 seconds. Those are key things you need to know about someone. Like, and I was confused about when she met with his parents and they asked her, how do you handle conflict? And she lied. She gave this well-mannered, well-cultured, clean, like, mature answer. Yet what it looks like is, and even before they showed the glimpses, her behavior about him catching COVID didn't show the things she said. So her words aren't lining up with her actions. Because I'm not going to base what I'm saying off of what might be coming down the road, because you can splice and split and merge together clips of stuff and make it sound and look one way, and it's not that way. But from what I've seen, even from, he didn't want to get COVID. Who wants to get COVID? Who wants to be sick and afraid that you might die and miss out on your honeymoon? Nobody wants that. But the way she was behaving was as if he did it personally to her, as if, how dare you, how could you, like, and he's just trying to protect her. So I just see some caution areas of, like, where it can be some problems. And now, given the glimpse of what's going to happen, she's going to have to learn how to taper down that explosive emotional side of her. She can't. And also, let's just say it, I'm gonna say it, I think they had, and I know that they're married and you can have sex when you want to. I get it, you're married. If it's natural, do it. But I do feel like there is a period of time, especially not knowing each other, it's not traditional. You should have certain communications. You should make sure that you're good in certain areas before you just treat your wedding night like a one-night stand. And maybe I'm going too far in, but I do think that there are conversations that you need to have, and before, because you didn't know each other. It's not like you've been dating for months and the wedding night is a combination of the pursuit, the process, the conversations, the transparency. I met you at the altar. I knew nothing about you. And well, granted, while I'm attracted to you, and yes, we're married, I think that there's some things that need to be discussed first before we just jump into, oh, you sexy, I'm sexy. Oh, why not? Let's throw it to because from that behavior, we haven't seen good things on this show when you started off that way. So that's just my 2 cents.
No, it's true. I had the same feelings. For me, I almost felt like they are very similar. So we talked about opposite attracts and the experts and stuff, but I feel like Zach is a mild mannered version of Michaela, but they're very similar in the way they approach things. And she was dating right up until maybe two weeks before the wedding. And last season, we know the whole thing that came that brought, and him having never been in love. It's almost like, there's been this fear of maybe commitment or fear of really going there with someone. And I would think that the COVID situation is not the perfect thing, but for them, that could give them the space of actually talking and getting to know each other more. I was expecting to see, shots of them FaceTiming each other and just talking through. And the guy was bored the whole time. They would show him alone on the patio, just looking at the other couples. But it's like, yes, the you've been divided. It's long distance. You have long distance couple who have been doing this for a while. So yeah, that's something you need to do. Okay.
Also, what I wanted to say, like you said, Jesse, I was really hoping that they use that time that they are apart to have more conversations, especially since neither one of them can be on camera right now because they're not going to go into his room because he's quarantined and she's back in Texas. So they have that opportunity without the cameras, that this situation could be a good thing where the other couples are on camera 24/7. Now you two have like you got a if you're playing a game, right? You get a pass and you get to make moves before everybody else. They have an opportunity to have these conversations that are not in front of the camera. There nobody else's ears are in it, where you could be building that foundation, like, and planning and having those discussions. So I was hoping that that would have happened, but like you said, it looked like he was bored in the room and just, because I think at one point he was like, "I hope she's okay," and I was like, "Are they not talking? Wait, what's happening? Have there been no phone calls?" Like,
So there was one time that they showed them texting or communicating to one another. But in saying that, I kind of perceived that maybe he kind of tried to reach out to her and maybe she didn't respond. So him saying, I hope she's okay, maybe this is just like in a huge assumption, but maybe he tried to reach out to her and she didn't respond. So, but there was one other time that they went kind of like back to where she was, and it showed that some type of messaging or text messaging was going back and forth between the two of them. So,
Yeah, and again, piggybacking on that, and I hear a lot of PSAs coming. Um, it's good that they have the, because I think the guys who film, they look for the action, right? So unless they're doing it after hours, but text messaging, that's for me, it's like dating early, or you are very well established and it's the way you, but I don't know how much substance you can get through text, like the conversations that they need to have at the level that they need to have. Like that would be, hey, how are you? But if they want to talk about finances or what's their view on parenting, or like Candice mentioned the view on your temperament and how you deal with conflict, like people will still give their representative. So the lie thing didn't really surprise me, but it's through those long conversations that you get to see, because the longer you talk, the longer you can say, oh, this person gets annoyed after 1 hour talking on the phone. Maybe they don't need that. So I don't know. That's a question mark if they've been doing that, but hopefully they have more more in-depth conversation there. So that's one PSA on the communication style. And the second one is a PSA for long distance relationships. So Mika and Candice, I know you guys are very deep, so I know you have something for our viewers. But what can you do if you are in a serious long distance relationship to kind of maintain the flow and make sure it doesn't break apart? Candice, go ahead.
Well, I have been in long distance relationships, and the key to them is consistent, like, communication. Um, and when I say consistent communication, I don't mean like every day, all day, but we have to be consistently communicating, whether it's 3 times a week. It's not 3 times a week every other month. It's like we need to be in communication because we're not in close proximity. Um, and I find like the gestures, like the little small things, like I'm thinking about you, and I might send you something. It don't have to be major or big, maybe even like a care package or something that shows I know that you love Reese cups and hot cocoa with a bag of Cheetos and to watch a movie. And I might make you a care package of cocoa and Reese cups and Cheetos and whatever, and with a little handwritten note inside just to let you know I'm not physically there, but I'm thinking about you. So things like that, like thinking outside the box, keeping it fresh, maybe having a Zoom date night, um, even planning, making plans to be in the same, you know, proximity. Like I'm going to plan a trip. It doesn't have to be every weekend, but the show that, you have to put forth the effort to do these things. And it's just like being considerate of the other person. Because if you're in that committed relationship, you want to know that that person is thinking about you. You want to know that they have your best interest at heart. You want to know that, you're just as important to them as they are to you. So it's gonna take that work, and also being open to, like, be open about what you're feeling. If you're having a rough time, one time, and you're really missing them, and you're feeling like a lack of confidence surrounding the relationship, you have to know that it's a safe place and you can be vocal about your insecurities. Talk about them. Don't let them fester and create scenarios in your mind. Like you built this thing up and they were just at the doctor's office. Like, just communication is key. Doing thoughtful things. I even say, like, if you're not in the same proximity, watch church together on Sundays. Have discussion about it. Like, growing your faith together. All of these things, it's like a cycle. They all feed into each other and create a healthy emotional relationship. So yeah, that's my take on it.
I'm loving these new PSA segments. So, Mika, one that is coming to you, maybe I hope it's not throwing you under the bus, but PSA on people who are moving from a state of they're afraid of commitment and they're serial daters and they're moving into a serious relationship, like we can see. So, what are some tips? How can they, you're moving from a different mindset, or people before they were Christian, they were dating a certain way, and it's, date after date after date, or you've been used to dating apps and swipe, 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 and you come into a place where it's one person, you have to commit, you're committed because, again, they're married. So what are some tips that can help them move their mindset toward that?
Um, so one of the things that I would suggest is to probably spend some time by yourself. Because going from relationship to relationship to relationship is that's probably not the healthiest thing to do, because you're carrying things from one person to the next. So now that you feel as if you want to be serious, or start being more committed per se, then I would just suggest that you spend some time by yourself, get to know who you are again, because there are things that you probably picked up that you didn't know you picked up, just because you're dating so many different people and there's so many different conversations that you've had and all these different things. So I would definitely suggest spending time by yourself. And then in that time by yourself, finding out what you like, what you don't like, so that you can bring yourself to the relationship. Nobody wants to come into a relationship not knowing who they are. That's probably one of the scariest things that can happen in a relationship, is feeling like you don't know who you are because maybe you lost yourself, or maybe you just don't know what you want fully. So that's probably the biggest tip I had, honestly.
That's good. Hopefully that's helpful for somebody. And you said, you need to know what you want. And one person who really, really knows what she wants is Merla, who's been married to Gil. And this couple, to be honest, this is maybe an unpopular opinion. We'll say who will be right. I feel like they might make it, at least for like up to a year after the Married at First Sight thing. I don't know if editing is kind of, I don't know. But yeah, Merla is very into what she wants. She has a standard in her mind of who she wants to be. She had a background of, growing up maybe a little poor, and now she's doing well for herself. She wants to maintain that standard. For some reason, she got matched with somebody who's into the humanity, and, money is not everything. Very easygoing, but also, talks a lot, maybe too much at times. But they have a very good, like, banter type relationship. They got it into a serious one where they didn't get along around politics and things like that. She's starting to bring some, attention to Gil in terms of like the cookies. So I don't know. What's your take on this? And again, I'll hold the unpopular opinion. I don't know. I feel like maybe Gil got the key on how to deal with her somehow, and like he doesn't let it affect her. And I think maybe as a man, for him it's like a challenge or something, like a woman who doesn't give me what I want when I want it, and maybe that can build the chase thing a little bit, but I don't know. So Mika, I know you you on the side. So what's happening there?
I just have so many feelings about Maryland. The whole growing up poor situation, that I can understand that you want better for yourself. You don't want anyone to be in that type of situation, and you don't want your kids to have to grow up that way. However, she just complains about everything. Going back to her wedding day, I don't want to wear makeup. Can you do it like this? Can you do it like that? Like, I mean, I don't wear makeup. So, like, just, can you put on the powder? Don't do liquid. Can you do this? And her friends are sitting there like, can you just let this woman do what she came here to do? Like, why are you so just, ugh? They get to the honeymoon. Florida. Look at this place. It's just, I mean, it looks like an old folks retirement home. Like, ma'am, hello, we're still in COVID. Okay. A lot of people can't go out of the country right now. Just be grateful that you went anyway. They could have said you will go to the apartment. Like, I feel like she got a taste of the finer things in life and forgot where she came from, in a sense. And I say forgot where she came from because while she remembers how she grew up, it's almost like she has this mindset, or she has this fear that she'll end up going back there. So now she's doing everything she can not to be back in that place, which, again, I can understand. You grew up where, you didn't have a lot, but that doesn't mean you grow up and complain about stuff that doesn't measure up to your stature. Like, you're not going to get everything you want. And that proves, she said, I don't want nobody with a bald head. I don't want nobody that ain't got no beard. He has neither one of those. So now what? And to bring up the whole, political conversation, divorce check, really? Because y'all don't agree on the same thing? Politics is not going to make me divorce my husband. I'm going to ask, okay, what are your views and why do you like this person? But it's not going to make me divorce you. We might have some disagreements. I mean, we ain't going to agree about everything. But every little thing she complains about, and it's so irritating. And yes, he teases her about it, but I honestly think that he's going to have a moment where he might end up like spazzing on her just because he's tired of it. So that's my take.
And I think that's what she might need. I think she has a lot of yes people in her circle. Even the two guys who met with him, they just seem like they go along. She's kind of the leader, and everybody kind of goes along and nobody says anything. But I like that he stands up to her. Like he said, this is not going to work with me. And I think I know women like that, and sometimes like the husband kind of takes a back seat and like just let just let her deal with this. But him putting his foot down sometimes will kind of, she needs that. I think she if not, she would walk all over him. So we'll see. At the end, we'll have a recap of who said who was gonna work out. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But Candice, what do you think?
Mirla is something else. Immediately when I saw her, not character, but when they introduced her and Gil, and the more I got to watch, I was like, I don't know if either of you have seen the play Taming the Shrew. Uh, if you get a chance, just look up the premise of Taming the Shrew. And it's basically about this woman who, it's like back in Shakespearean day times or whatever, and she's like the Lord's daughter. So she's used to throwing tantrums and screaming and hollering and getting her way, and she won't do this and she won't do that. And she's the eldest daughter, and so he wants to marry her off, but she doesn't agree with anything or anyone that's come their way. And they found this one man who they told him she's a shrew. She's a harpy, she's a nagger, she's a beast. And he said, I'm up to the challenge. And at the end of the play, he ends up taming the shrew, where she becomes considerate and quiet and thoughtful, and even has like this servant heart towards her husband. So I feel like it's going to be that type of situation, because right now Mirla is used to getting Mirla's way. And even from a conversation that she had with Gil, when she was talking about her childhood, and he asked her, so what made you you? What made you this way? She was like, I've been this way since I was a baby. And he was like, so you were born this way? And he kind of looked like, oh God. So there wasn't any like traumatic incident that made you, this is who you've been. And Mirla, I think even in her destitute years when she was growing up and she was poor and they lived in a one room shack, and she wanted things that she wanted, I think she generally is a diva. But the sad part about it is I know they matched Mirla and Gil because I think Mirla has a big heart, but I think it's overshadowed by her behavior and her mindset, because she's been a principal, and if you hear her when she's actually opening up and not complaining about something, and she's actually having a conversation that isn't about what something isn't, and to hear her discuss how she feels about the youth and underprivileged and underserved communities and those type of things, she has a big heart for it, and what she's doing is trying to be a champion for those causes. So I can see why they put Gil and Mirla together. But is that enough to keep them together if she doesn't tame her tongue? If she doesn't, because right now it's like you said, Jesse, it's like a challenge. Ooh, like it's hard to please her. So what can I do to see if I can make her impressed? And that's cute, but I don't want it to wear off. I don't want its novelty to wear off. And then in a moment where he's looking at her like, I can't stand you. Like, why am I even with you? You're a terrible person. And she's not a terrible person, but she's behaving terribly. So it's like, and I think she knows it. And I think she even said in a comment to the camera, she was like, I was wondering if he's gonna like blow up at me or something like that, because you're being petty, you're being shady. Even when he was doing something nice for her and got the macaroons and the champagne and everything, she found something to complain about with that. And it's like, or even when they were out under the cabana and he got her ice cream and she's like, is this dairy free? Is this? Is this? He's like, girl, just enjoy. Of course it's dairy free. I know you don't do milk. And then even with that, instead of just saying thank you, she was like, it's chocolatey. The brother can't win for losing, and he's laughing it off right now. But I wonder if she's going to get an opportunity to go back and watch herself to see what she actually looks like behaving this way, because it's not cute. It's not sexy. It's not cute, and it's not okay. And I get it. Like, the thing that bothered me about Mirla was, I think on their wedding night, Gil opened up, which is, most men, let's be honest, they don't just come off the hip and tell a traumatic incident. So for him to open up to her, so that it took the pressure off of her doing it, to share about how he lost his father, and for her to shut it down the way she shut it down, like, oh, that's sad. And he's like, you want to share? She was like, no, not at this time. We can go to bed now. I wanted to be like, what's wrong with you? Like, you don't want to do stuff like that, which teaches him I'm being open and I'm sharing and I'm bearing myself to something that was really important and hurtful and traumatic. And I came to you to try to create a safe space, and you shut it down. So I don't want her to complain later if he becomes desensitized and doesn't want to have those conversations because of her behavior. And now she's like, why won't he talk to me? Because you know, it's just, I don't want this to bite her in the butt, because I believe that she wants to be married. I believe that she wants to have a healthy marriage and relationship, but it takes two. And you can't be take, and maybe I'll sprinkle a little giving sometimes. But I like to take. You can't do that. I'm gonna tell you another thing, and I'm gonna close it. If she don't change her mindset about his dog, that I think is gonna be the point that makes him pop off on her. Because to him, that's his baby. And she's like, he's smelly, he's stinky, I'm not walking him. I'll pay somebody to do it. And I think that one triggered him. Like, that was a trigger for him. So she's mature, but she got some other growing to do.
Yeah, I think, and we've talked about, getting to know yourself and also getting to be healed and getting whole. And I think a lot of what made Merla is my part of it is the traumatic experiences that she's had. Like the story with her dad was really awful. And my take, I don't know. I don't know if I'm just guessing. I'm just assuming, but maybe she didn't want to do that the first time on camera. I don't know. Because the next day, was it the next day or some day after? She told the story about it. So I don't know if they had a discussion.
But he kind of pushed her to do it. He was like, we're going to talk
Yeah,
about this now.
yeah. But
Yeah.
I don't know, because that story was really traumatic to me. Like I don't know, it felt really. But growing up poor, you lose your dad in such a story. I'm just wondering what it does to you as a person, and if you're building those. Some people react. It's almost like you're hiding behind those things. So she chose maybe the money and the status to feel some type of way or valuable, which other people do. Some people change the way they look, their appearance. So I feel like there's some work on her part and some insecurities that maybe she's hiding behind. And also the bad character that comes on top of it. And then you surround yourself with yes people, and then you just become a diva. So hopefully, like I said, she sees it. And even if she's not with Gil, that's something that she definitely needs to pull back together. And for us, in the Christian circles, it's like character, right? It speaks to character, and nobody wants a nagging wife. Pick your battles. You don't have to complain about everything. Sometimes, it's you don't have to say, "Oh, that's who I am." No, you can change part of yourself. So some things you can pull back a little bit. So, just pick your battles. And also another lesson that I took from me is also, when you are so stuck up in your mind with the idea of who you want beside you, that I'm glad she got married. Like, I think that will push her further. Like, she would have cut Gil off at the first date or half of the date. And she would have maybe missed out on somebody who seems like he's a nice guy, he's into the community and stuff. So besides what we imagine in our head of who the guy has to be, you have to pick your battles. Like the bald thing, I understand some physical preferences, but hey, he's there, he's bald, he's been bald maybe the past 10 years. Will you can't force him to grow his hair. Maybe he can't. Like, so if the guy is actually good, will you let that go because of who in your mind you pictured that he needed to be this millionaire tall guy with hair and no beard? Um, let's go to what the other Rachel and Jose. Yeah, lots of talk with these two. They seem very enamored, impassionate. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to roll my eyes, but enamored, impassionate into each other, and everything is working well. They have some very key differences in gender roles where he's into, I'm the provider, I want to provide. She's into, I'm independent. I need to have something for me. He has some sketchy stuff sometimes. She has some sketchy stuff sometimes. I don't know. I'll give my kind of prediction and review. I think I will let you guys go first on this one. But let's start with Mika. What do you think about this couple?
I actually like them. They're like kind of like second after Bao and Johnny. I think they have a lot of upfront conversations that I believe is going to help them in the long run. I know we mentioned about like things concerning the couples, and gender roles is definitely something that comes up with the two of them. She seems to want to have a hand in the relationship. It's a kind of like a foreign concept to her to just allow a man to do everything. And that could be because she came out of like a controlling, abusive type of situation. So for her, it's like I have to have some type of control. However, I do see Jose's heart behind it. I don't think that he's trying to be in control. I think he was raised to be a provider, and he was raised to be the man in the relationship and to take care of his wife. And he talks about how, I wasn't always like this. I made sure that I did some things, that I set some things up so that when I did get married, I would be able to purchase a home with my wife and be able to raise children and go places and do things. And so I do think that they're probably going to have some conflict, but I can see them kind of like working it out a little bit. Um, I just want her to get out of her head. I think a lot of times she feels like he's trying to take things away from her. And he's like, I don't want to do that at all. But I do want you to let me be the man in the relationship. And I know that Candace and I have had conversations about this from premarital from a premarital counseling standpoint, as when you do something that a man would do, you take that away from him and then you're left to do it for the remainder of the marriage relationship or whatever the case may be. And so while he may seem to her like he's trying to do everything, he really does want to take care of her. Like I see that side of it. And so if she would just allow him to cater to her, which unfortunately a lot of women are not used to. We're used to having to do things on our own or do things for ourselves. And so he's trying to cater to her, and that is a foreign concept. But also, her dad told her, you need to make sure you have like your own money. You need to make sure you have like a stowaway fund or whatever the case may be, which I don't think it's anything wrong with that. However, being able to combine and become one in a relationship and being able to trust your partner in that area is probably something that she's going to have to learn, because whatever situation happened with her dad and her mom might be somewhat of the influence that her dad gave her that piece of information. So I do like them. I do think they could make it. Communication wise, they're having great discussions about major topics. And it's just going to be interesting to see if she will relax in a sense and allow him to cater to her and be the provider and the man in the relationship.
I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a feeling or a vibe. I don't know. I'm not buying into their couple. I don't know. It's just a feeling, I guess. I'm not. I hope it works, but I don't know. I just feel like the guy is doing too much almost. It's just too much. I don't know, maybe his love language is like touch, like it's just too much too early almost. And I'm like, who what comes behind that? And he's also very strict in the ideas that he has. And one good thing I will give him though is that being prepared, like thinking ahead, like I don't know, it took years to be where he is, like building that nice credit score, getting two houses and all he's done financially. But I think that there's more. He needs to be a bit more leaning to also receive from her because it can feel overpowering almost. You coming with all of that and everything is perfect and you want to lead and you don't want to budge on what you decided the financial way of the land is. And I think I would love to see her have a bit more, not say, but not have to fight for herself in some way, like have a bit more room for her views as well. Like the travel, the trip thing, he's like, it's too expensive. I did not build this credit score. No, I'm paraphrasing. I did not build this credit score. Get these two houses and get all these savings for you to leave it in Greece. So and she has this scared look all the time. Not scared, but like yeah, I don't know what to say. I just my impression is it will be a no. But Candice, you're in the middle.
I have so much to say about the both of them, only because I've dated in the Hispanic culture. I've dated, so I can see where, and going to missions in Peru, I've seen he has what's called like machismo, right? Like it's this he yes. So I've seen that they're very passionate, very aggressive, but not in a way that is trying to force themselves. It's like this is what they know. They know to take care of. They know to provide. They know to work hard and to, you know, and it's just they're sometimes can be viewed as overbearing, even though that might not be what he's trying to do. But there it's and sometimes machismo can be looked at as controlling because it's like this is the way we do it. My word is what I've said. As my wife, you're to go along with what I've said. But he's also shown that he can temper that. But I feel like there's two things going on here. So he has that, like I said, machismo. He has that passionate Latin, character and personality. And I think he's seen his parents' marriage not work. And so I think he's also formed an opinion of what he wants for his own marriage. And that came through with when they were on the boat and she was like, I never have I ever cheated. And, you're supposed to take a drink. And she took a drink and he was just like, you cheated? Like to him, that's distasteful. It's no excuse for it. Even though she was very young, because she was a teen. But I think he has in his head how he wants his marriage to be, and it may be like, I don't want my marriage to end like my parents' marriage did. So these are the things that have to be in place. These boxes have to be ticked. And if we tick these boxes, then everything will go smoothly. But I don't think he took into account that she might have her own boxes. So where he has like 200 some odd things that he has to be checked off, she's still a human who's imperfect. And so it's like on this paper, he's wanting perfection, but Rachel is classy. She's beautiful. She's kind. She's all the things he said he wanted, but she does have her own flaws and she does have her own issues and she does have her own list that she's coming with. So I think he has to make room for that. I think he's been listening well, though. I think, like Mika said, they have been having some great communication. Johnny and Bao, Rachel and Jose have had great communication. And I love the fact that Rachel keeps pushing it. She's like, I'm sorry, I have this concern. I have this question. I just want to ask this question. And he's been patient and he's been open to answering the questions, trying to ease her concerns. I think that she does have she's gonna have to balance her independence a little bit. She's gotta, like, the fact that he wanted to have one account. Of course, we're taught in our faith that the two become one. You have a joint account, and then you do X, Y, and Z. But she's scared of that, and I think it's because, like Mika said, she came from a traumatic relationship where she said, "I lost myself in that relationship. I didn't know who I was anymore, and I don't want that." So I don't think there was enough time in between that relationship and this marriage for her to have had, like what Mika said earlier, some time to herself to figure out what she wants, who she is. And I feel like she's afraid that because he wants to do all these things for her, she's going to lose her identity and she's going to become what she thinks he wants and lose who she wants to be herself. And he's going to have to find a way to communicate that, listen, I'm not trying to morph you into something that you think I want. I want to get to know who you are, and there is room for you to be, yourself. But we do have to come, like, on finances. Like, she knows she's not very strong in finances, but yet she's not comfortable enough to let him be in charge of it. And I think it's because he used the word control, and that triggers her. And I think that because I watched it happen, like, when he was like, so we'll agree that I'll be in control of finances. And she was like, I don't think I'm okay with that. I feel like if he had used another terminology saying, well, since I'm stronger in the finances, maybe I'll be in charge of the finances. I think it was about terminology. And I think that if he had switched it up, I think she has triggers. So I think they need to have that kind of conversation of, what are your triggers? You said you were in a traumatic relationship where you felt X, Y, and Z. How can I make you feel or let you know that you're safe from me? I think they need to have that conversation. But I do think that, him saying, can I brush your teeth for you? I want to believe he was playing. I truly want to believe that he was joking, because that was a red flag for me. And he said, I just want to show you that I want to take care of you. Let's do that in other ways. You don't have to brush my teeth. And I think that she's not comfortable with being served and with being pampered, maybe from her previous relationship, because that's what I get when he wants to feed her, when he wants to, like, do the loving romantic things for her. He just wants to lavish, like, attention on her. And that might make her uncomfortable right now. So maybe he needs to give her some room to get comfortable with it. You know what I mean? Like Jesse said, he's doing a lot so soon. The touching, the caressing, it seems like every time you see them on camera, his hand is somewhere on her body. And maybe she just needs a moment without, it's like, oh, okay. It's like, it's just, I think they need to slow down a little bit, have those communications about, like, what are our triggers? Because they're having great conversations. Let's just add in certain elements. And she needs to be okay with him being the man. She needs to be okay with him providing for her, because it's the very thing she said she wanted. So she now has to do and be a part of what you say you wanted. I'm done. So wait, do I think they'll last? Yes. But there's going to have to be some balancing, and there's going to have to be some more communication. Basically, they're going to have to put some healthy boundaries in place and find a balance.
Okay, two for one, 2 for 1. I think, yeah, you nailed a lot. I think when I was saying she has this scared look, I think that's maybe what it is, like, just scared of relinquishing control and dealing with some of her own insecurities and past experience. Because it's almost like he's doing a lot of the actions and she's a bit more reserved. But his actions, like, they remind me some of the guys, especially African guys, that are called glue. Like, very, very clingy type of guy, before a relationship, when a guy is interested and he's always there and he's always trying, you're like, I don't like you that much yet. And the more you do it, the more it's like, you're, you're always there, you're always trying, you're feeding her, you want brush her to, like, her teeth, you want to kiss her 10 times, and you want, and this date too. Like, and that's scary too. I'm like, are you already in love with me like that? Like, just calm down. So I don't know. I'll stay on my no for now. We'll see if that switches afterwards. Um, but I know we've spent a lot of time on this. I think it's an hour already. So the last couple, I personally don't have a lot to say with these guys. Brett and hold on, I need to look at my notes.
Ryan, Brett and Ryan.
Oh, okay. So we'll go to the next couple, which is Brett and Ryan. Um, Ryan is the lady, right? Oh, Brett is the lady. Okay, I'll do it over again. So we go to the next couple, Brett and Ryan. I don't have much to say on them. I like Brett. I think she's fun, spunky. I love her attitude. I like her red hair. I think it just matches her personality, and it looks cool. It looks nice. It doesn't look, you know how when you put dye and it's all dry looking. Seems like she really takes care of it. She's very, and she's wanting to work. Um, but I think there's a thing of putting opposites together that you still need to have some areas of commonness. And I feel like Ryan is a bit too laid back to pull. Like the, he's a bit too. I can't read him. He's always quiet. I don't know where he stands, but he's gone on what 100 dates. Oh, was that? Yeah, I think he's done a lot of dating too, but I don't see a lot of that. And the political thing, it seems like they're on two very different political arenas. And for her, she said it's a no no. So I don't know about this one, but I love Brett. So Candace, I see you making faces. So go ahead.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you. I think that I kind of love them both. I think Brett is just enough spice and spunk that kind of like, I don't know, entices him and like intrigues him. But Ryan has a dry sense of humor. He's the one that flies under the radar, and he says a lot of funny stuff. But if you're not used to that kind of personality, and you can't read it, it's hard to read him. Like you think, is he happy with me? Because when I was first watching, I was like, wait, does he like her? Is he excited? He's just, he can give you like Stonewall and you don't know. But I feel like he gets her and she kind of gets him. And even though the camera is trying to make it seem like there's dead air, because sometimes they'll be like playing little crickets, or they'll make it look like there's this pregnant pause and it's just awkward. They're not awkward with each other. The production and everything is making you feel like there's a level of awkwardness. I feel like they're having conversations. I feel like they're getting to know each other. I feel like they're both insanely attracted to each other, even though he's never dated a redhead. And he wouldn't have been the type she chose because, as she says, I don't do outdoors like country music and all that. She's like, I don't know nothing about that. But I think that his adventurous side is pulling out her adventurous side, and her kind of being open to new, maybe different cultural things and socially economic awareness, stuff like that. I think that's pulling him out. And I feel like they're communicating well. The cameras just don't show that they're communicating well because they're getting along. And even when he said, like, if I had just been dating her and she acted like she did on the plane, it would have been on the plane ride because we wouldn't be dating. But so a little bit of his serial dater came out. But I think that being with her is teaching him patience and teaching him a level of compassion, because she wasn't scared just to be making a scene. She was actually scared. But he sees that she's open to trying new things. Like, she's afraid of water. But she got in the kayak. And she was definitely afraid of the manatee, but she didn't like have a tantrum like Mirla. Fly this thing back in. I don't want to be up here no more. She stuck with it. She was afraid. She looked at it and she got through it. And I think that built his respect for her up more. So I think that they're going to be a good couple. I actually see them doing well. And I think that, I don't know, I just have nothing but good things to say about them. Now, wait a minute. They're supposed to have some kind of conversation about sex that we didn't see. Like, it's coming up. So maybe like when he feels like when they're supposed to have it and when she's ready, I don't know, that might get a little murky, but overall, I think they're a good couple.
They kind of remind me a little bit of Clara and Ryan. Yeah, I do think so, only because I think Ryan has some preconceived notions about what he wants and what he's looking for. And I'm kind of going back to when he had breakfast with her family the next day and they were kind of telling him about her. And he was like, yeah, so, yeah, she's just different. She's not somebody that I would usually date. It was like he didn't really have much to say. And it was like, her dad looked concerned. He was like, I gave my daughter to you. Okay, well, I'm just gonna have to see what happens. But I do think she's fun. I think that she has a level of adventure to her. Might not be his level of adventure, but I do think that she has a level of adventure to her that he may not be so much into, and then vice versa. He is very like outdoorsy, and he seems to me like he would have a good time with tossing plates and then shooting at them. Like that's what I get from him. Like that's his type of fun. And she would be like, can we do something different? So, but I think it might work. So I'm on the fence with them. I gotta kind of watch a little bit more, but I think that they could work. And I love, when I say love, that red hair on her, it is fire. But she's not a natural redhead. So I think when he said I don't usually date redheads, he's talking about people who are naturally redhead, but she's not a natural redhead. So that's her little thing. But we'll have to see with this one. They're making it, but I think I need to see more from them to actually pick which side I would say. So
Yeah, it's a maybe going towards no for me as well. Um, I don't know what type he used to date beforehand. I just hope he's not into like the trophy wife type of vibe where the guys who love to date the women of a certain look that they want to show off. Because she's amazing. But I need a bit more from him. And we'll see. Hopefully they do. We hope all of them together. But they decided to sign up for Married at First Sight, so we have to kind of just look and see, what we can get out of that. So if I can take the predictions, so Marla and Gil, is that no or maybe? Okay,
I'm gonna say it's a no.
I'll go with yes with them. Let's see what happens. Let's see okay, bye, and Johnny. I think it's
Absolute yes.
100% yes. Okay.
Absolute yes. Absolute yes.
Um, Michaela and Zach.
No.
They might be the surprise couple. I'm gonna say yes. They may be our surprise couple.
I'm trying to think. He's very into marriage, long term stuff, but her temper, I don't know if we'll be able. But he's shady because in the preview stuff, she was like, "You never came back." So I'll go with no. Okay, Brett and Ryan.
I'm gonna say yes.
I'm gonna say yes too. I think they'll make it. Mm.
I'll go with no because I don't know what's happening in that couple. Why am I being the pessimist one this season? But maybe I got burned. I need to do some healing work from last season. Rachel and Jose.
I'm gonna say maybe.
Ooh, we're going to the maybes.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
Yeah, I want to say no, but I know you you both are maybes, so let's see. We'll see if that changes next episode. Okay, well, thank you guys for joining us. We hope to see you next time for the review of the next episode. We'll keep track of the predictions to see who got it right. Who got it? It's so bad that we're doing this about marriage. It's almost like a game show, you know? It's like, but they signed up for it and we're watching. So, anyway, um, we'll see who got right and wrong, but it's a lot of lessons. Make sure to watch out for our PSA calls because they're very, very, very interesting, and they can give us some tips on how to do things going forward. So thank you, Mika, thank you, Candice, for joining, and see you at the next Delight Talks. Bye.